how are you? Welcome back to the channel. And of course, in today's video we are going to have another one of our dramione fanfiction recommendations. Now, if you have read the title already, it says summer reads. In my book, summer reads are going to be stress-free. They are stories that only contain good vibes. They are the true, bright, and bubbly love affair that you want to enjoy under the sun. Before you ask me, why are you making this video mid-July? Do you know how hot it is outside? Do you want to be outside? Or do you want to be inside with a love story? Now that we're on the same page, let's get the video started. The first recommendation, we will only make it right by recommending dramione and the mortifying ordeal of being in love by Is This Self-Care? Or, because that's such a mouthful, I always call it The Batmobile by Is This Self-Care? This story started out for us with Hermione being the top researcher in the country who is working on a groundbreaking breakthrough that will benefit the entire society. But because of that, it has attracted some attention from the baddies who wanted to harm her and stop her progress. So in come the best aura in the country, assign her security mission, who should be neutral about Hermione, who should maintain the neutrality while protecting her. Such a synopsis, are we? This is a masterfully crafted story. I say masterfully, okay, because you would be surprised by the quality that you get in this story, and while you read the story you will wonder, why am I reading this story for free on the internet? I even dare to say, I'm not even scared of being cancelled, but I would say that The Batmobile is of higher quality than some of the best-selling romance novels on the market right now. Story will give you such a riveting plot, and just by that synopsis you would be able to tell what adventures you are going to go on this story, okay? And we have overpowered characters that are so well built, as well as an ensemble of supporting cast. And I say an ensemble, okay? Humans, elf, every species that you can think of, they all have flavor, they all have colors, and they make the reading experience 10 times better. But we are here for the romance and for the writing, okay? And I can assure you that both of those are 100 out of 10. The romance between Draco and Hermione is one of the top tier that I have ever encountered in any dramione fanfiction, and the writing is just dripping with so much wisdom, so much knowledge, that you would be wondering again why you're reading this for free. This story gives you a perfect blend of everything, including a wide range of emotion, and it will also give you a hangover at the end because you would never be able to find another story like this one. This is truly a one of a kind. This story is perfection packaged in a fic for you to read. There are no notes. It's 10 out of 10. Now, I doubt that you haven't read this story yet, but if you haven't, skip over the rest of my video, X out of here, and please go ahead and read it immediately, okay? Also, if you want to read alongside me, I have a reading vlog for that, so we can rave together, okay? So go ahead and head over there if you want a reading buddy for dramione and the mortifying ordeal of being in love by Is This Self-Care? Next is a story that is always ever present on my mind whenever I talk about a summer read, and we have Universal Truth by Scully Murphy. Now, this story is a modern take on one of the classic stories that we all love, Pride and Prejudice. Now, for someone who is so unsophisticated and shallow like myself, I struggle hard reading Pride and Prejudice. I don't think I've ever cracked half of that book yet, but I have to stop every second to look up vocabulary and to reread sentences so that I can understand the grammars and see where the story is going. So this is the closest thing that I can get to read a Pride and Prejudice, because if I can't read the blueprint, then you sure as hell know I will read a dramione spin-off. Now, why do I recommend this story for the summer? You all know, just like myself, that the old money aesthetic has been popping up very lately on the internet, and especially summer in the south of France, summer on the Amalfi Coast, all sounds very dreamy and looks very pretty on TikTok, right? If you're into that, if you're into the things that we see in The Great Gatsby, for example, this story will be a galore for you, because we have Draco Malfoy driving a vintage luxury car, we have French chateaus, we have gowns and fashions, we have everything that are of the upper echelon of the society in here. And the author, Scully Murphy, she knows what she's talking about, so it's not like the cringe type of name dropping, you know what I mean? In this story, Draco and Hermione reunited after some years apart, and of course it goes without saying, but this story will give you a perfect romance story. It will take you through a roller coaster of emotions, starting out with them getting to truly know each other, going through some of the actions, and then going through some angst, and then some fluff, and then some hot spice at the end. So it just contains everything that you want to read for the summer. in my opinion. I think that this story is gonna be perfect for every season of the year, but for some reason I feel like summer would intensify the emotion that you will feel in this story, so I would recommend checking out this story if you are looking for a summer read. Next, we have my fluff galore. We have Simply Irresistible by Bookworm 1993. This story started out for us when Draco decided to give Hermione an entire makeover to revenge her ex Ron Weasley for cheating on her. Now, this story is usually marketed or is usually recommended under rom-com, but I feel like this story is so much more than that. Just by the synopsis and reading a couple first chapters of the story, you may think that this story is simple and straightforward, but I can assure you that it's the furthest from that. This story is super multi-dimensional. The storyline is set up in a way that it sprinkles in some past interaction between Draco and Hermione too. So beside the fact that shows us the depth of Draco and Hermione relationship, how they started that friendship, how they become what they are today, it also breaks up the storyline so that it's non-linear and it makes the story super fun to read. And it has an ensemble of supporting cast, like almost everyone who has the name at Hogwarts will appear in here, plus some original character from the author as well. And every single character in this story are so delightful that I almost feel like I'm breaking up with my friends when I wrap up the story. And obviously it goes without saying, sorry I say this a lot, Draco and Hermione is just chef kiss in this. They are super soft and tender, mature and understanding, and everything about the story is just good vibe. If you want to swim in just warm waters, if you just want a stress-free story that will pick up your mood real quick, then I would always recommend Simply Irresistible by Bookworm 1993 because it's simply irresistibly lovely, and I guarantee you that you will have a good time and you will feel so much better after reading this story. Next, we have another take kind of on Pride and Prejudice, but it's a little bit different, and we have To Brew a Scandal by Star in Motion. This story is a historical fiction, of course, with the Victorian theme going on, and in this story, Draco and Hermione share a little bit of a childhood friendship and then spend some years apart from each other and reunite. I feel like I didn't do justice for To Brew a Scandal with that synopsis, but I also believe that this story is one of the stories that you must go out there and experience it in order to feel everything that I'm about to tell you. This story is so beautifully written that I want to highlight everything in the book app when I was reading this story. If Universal Truth by Scully Murphy highlights a lot of the landscape and a lot of the background where the story happened, this story will zone in on the depth of the relationship between Draco and Hermione. I've alluded to this before, but Draco and Hermione met as children before and then spent some years apart and reunited at the end. So we know that there are some pining, and even though I wouldn't describe this story as entirely stress-free and entirely good vibe, the angst that we have in here are very well done, and it will make the range of emotion that you are about to experience wider. I also love how the author built the character of Draco and Hermione in this story because I feel like they are very true to themselves. I love Hermione, and I also think that Draco is one of the softest Draco that I've ever seen in Dramione fanfiction, and they both would do everything to keep the other safe without saying so because they're idiots. Also, a bonus for this story is that if you love Crookshank, Hermione's cat, then you will have the time of your life with this story. Overall, I would like to recommend To Brew a Scandal every opportunity that I have on this channel because I just love this story so much, and I think that it deserves so much more hype and it deserves to be read. And I know that this story is not entirely fluff, but it's gonna be perfect for those of you who don't want cheesy story for the summer because it has range. Next, we have another beloved story of mine, and it is Innocent Monster by It's Come to This. This story is only 50,000 words, mind you, and this is one of my most prized 8th-year Dramione story that I have ever read. This story started out for us with Draco coming back to Hogwarts for his 8th year, and something unexpected happened. A Muggle-born Slytherin student, first thief, latched onto him and brought him more friends to take care of. Now, Draco has this little baby and her other little minions that he cares so much about when they decided to adopt a flesh-eating monster as their pet. So of course, Draco has to protect the minions that he has now, and he has to come to the only person he knows who has the capability of sharing that responsibility with him. In comes Hermione Granger. This story is cute, C-U-T-E, cute, and it will make you laugh because there are so much humor in here. I'm dying, I'm cracking up, I'm laughing like a loon when I read the story, but it's not just entirely fluff because there will be moments of angst, and it highlights one of the most special character growth for Draco that I have ever seen in Dramione fanfiction. And like I say, it only has 50,000 words. I need to give kudos to Izzy's self-care because she did it masterfully in such small real estate. I say, even though it's innocent and it's light, you are going to experience some emotion in this story, okay? So it's gonna be perfect once again if you don't want cheesy story for the summer. It is just a small story, only 50,000 words, but the impact that it has on me is last. So please go ahead and read this story and give its come to this some love, okay? Because she deserves all the love and all the hype. Okay, we are halfway through. On the 6th spot, we have Warp and Stray by Kiyono Miko. Story is another post-war story that started out in 8th year, but it started out at the end of the 8th year actually. Draco Malfoy needed a way, an escape route out of Hogwarts after his 8th year. And he is an anime geek in this story, so he decided to transform himself into his animal form, hoping that some student would pick up the animal as a pet so that he can get on the train and escape Hogwarts. Now, what he didn't calculate is that the student picking him up is Hermione Granger, who has now developed a separation issue after the war. So I want you to know that I read this story and it makes its way into my top tier dramione fanfiction, my top prize dramione fanfiction, my most favorite dramione fanfiction. So what I'm saying is Warp and Stray stand alongside fics like Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love, The Dragon Bride, Remain Nameless, Manacle for me personally. So you know how much space this story take up in my heart. I love the writing. Obviously I love the premise because how unique, but I also love the plot and love the progress of the story because it's so well executed. Once you pick up the story, you cannot put it down. Even though it's not a very adventurous or plot-driven story, you just cannot put this down. You have to read this story. This story is perfect, and you guys already know what my feelings are with this story, so I'm gonna highlight one of the things that I love the most about Warp and Stray, and that is this story has some of the most beautifully written dialogue between Draco and Hermione. The words that they spoke to each other, I highlighted, I screenshot, they live in my camera roll and in my head and in my heart forever. I wanted to highlight every single word that Draco and Hermione share with each other in this story, and that say a lot because if you know me, you know that I am a show don't tell type of girl. I want to see action. I want to see you do it. Don't give me words. I love every single word that they say to each other in here. Coming from me, I feel like that's a lot. Now, once again, I don't know if I need to repeat this or reiterate this, but this is a masterpiece and you need to read this story. Next, we have Love and Sweet and Fluff, and we have Apple Pies and Other Amen by To Eat AP. Now, this story started out for us when Hermione Granger decided to go on a pastry PTSD tour at the end of the war. She baked some good and visit every single person that have involved in the war. That include friends and foes. So one of the stops must be Malfoy Manors and the Malfoys. We have all the Malfoys in this story, okay? They are all alive and well. I don't know if they are that mentally well, but at least they are alive, breathing, and seemingly healthy. This is one of the most cozy and comforting stories that you will ever find in the whole dramione community. I once described this story and I will never stop describing this story as a warm blanket on a winter morning because it makes you feel so good you never want to leave it. With that being said though, I still feel like this is going to be one of the best summer reads for you if you are into dramione because of how light, how bubbly, how bright, how fluffy, how juicy this story is. It's going to make you feel so good. I think that this story has everything that anyone who is looking for a tender love affair would love. We have a forgiving and big heart Hermione. We have some of the most beautifully characterization of the Malfoys that I've ever seen, and that include Lucius and Narcissa, and we don't need to talk about Draco because he's chef kiss in this, okay? We also have an ensemble of supporting cast who are very mature given they just went through the war and they are still teenagers in this story, and I love everyone for it. And lastly, we have food, we have desserts in here, okay? So make sure that you read the story with a full belly. I don't think that it's possible not to feel good after you read Apple Pies and Other Men, so I believe that that's going to be the perfect summer read because who has time to be sad in the summer? Next is something a little bit more melancholic because I needed to have range in this video too, okay? And we have Wanderer by Evelina. And before you ask me why you contradicting yourself, why are you recommending some melancholy fic for the summer, I want to say that this is one of the most healing pieces that you will ever have. Started out for us 8 years at Hogwarts where Draco and Hermione unexpectedly run into each other while they both wander the castle. This is one of my top 8-year story alongside Innocent Monster, but it's come to this, so we have two 8-year story that I love so much in this video. This is a healing story that is well balanced between realistic and tender. We have great fucking communication in this, which is a little bit hard to combine these days with dramatic fanfiction. We have silent care between Draco and Hermione. It shows just the depth of how they care for each other and how much they meant to the other person. Obviously, I love how Draco and Hermione come together in this story, but I love it more that they are friends before they develop any romantic feeling for each other. And we have a superb Ron and Harry. And I also love that the author did such an amazing job highlighting the friendship between Ron Ron, Harry, and Hermione, but because in my head the trio cannot break up after the war because they were prepared to die for one another with everything that they've gone through. Just no way that they wouldn't prioritize each other's happiness after the war. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but some of the details that we have in here is so unique and it's going to make you remember it forever. It's the type that you would tweet about it, okay? But I don't want to spoil it for you guys, so please go ahead and read this story. The next story that I have is The Real Summer, because we have artwork by In Dreams. This story is the real summer because you are going to be in the Santa Monica's piers. You are going to be surfing. This story probably has the furthest Draco characterization from my headcanon. A Draco that is this close to being a hippie. He spent his time on the shore of the California beach surfing and drive a Jeep. Now I'll leave that to you for your own judgment. What I would say is that this story is the perfect summer romance in my opinion. It has every element that you would imagine for a summer romance, and it kind of reminds me of those coming of age type of movie where the characters are in love but they know that they are going to be apart at the end of the summer. This kind of gives me that vibe. Now I would also recommend this story if you feel like you have seen so much of the same landscape in Dramione fanfiction. If you see a lot of London or a lot of France, I would say that this story is going to be special because you will be in the States and you will be in sunny California. Isn't that the right place to be for the summer? Last but not least, I want to end this story on a bang, okay? Because we have Remain Nameless by Agent 19. Now, before we go into the review for Remain Nameless, I would like to say that I'm a nobody. I'm in no position to cast a review or an opinion on this story because it is a masterpiece. This story is a true romance piece and it highlights the entirety of Draco and Hermione's relationship from when they see each other again 9 years after the final battle at Hogwarts to how they come to be friends and how they come to be lovers and how they deal with everything else that entails. This story not only highlights the development between Draco and Hermione, but it also highlights how they interact with the other people in their life as well. So we have like a family and friends like extended in here. So you will get what I believe to be a slice of life story. This story has 312 words, and if you know me, you know that I typically go for a shorter story in the summer because I want that good vibe. I want to be pop in and pop out. But why do I put this story in here? I have to tell you guys that I have had this unrelenting urge to reread Remain Nameless for the longest time possible. It would just be a random times of the day and some quotes, some scenes from Remain Nameless would just pop up in my head. And you guys know Remain Nameless is one of the first piece of dramatic fanfiction that I have ever read, and to this day, years later, it still lives rent-free in my head for real because I was taking a shower, I was eating, and then Remain Nameless scene pops up. And with that being said, I feel like you guys already know how much I feel about Remain Nameless. And this story is another story that I feel like you would just have to go out there and experience it. And for a lot of people, I see some opinions online saying that this story is draggy for them at some point. For me, someone who doesn't even like to read long story, I devour this story like a hungry child. I read it in a couple of days and then I immediately go back and reread the whole thing like front to back, cover to cover. And I don't think any of those 312,000 words is redundant at all. I love every single one of them and I would reread the story. I mean, I have been wanting to reread the story. This is a story that I can genuinely and totality and surely like 100% confidently say that I love it. And even though I know that there would be no must read for anyone, I still believe that this is a must read in the Dramione fandom. So yeah, that's the end of my summer read. Those are the stories that I believe to be the best choice when it comes to Dramione fanfiction to read in the summer, and I'm all for that good vibe, reading under the sun type of summer. If you're wondering what I'm reading personally for this summer, then I would recommend checking out my TBR list because I'm slowly working my way through the story that I have put in that video. But stay cool and I will see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye!